There was no announcement when it happened. No emergency broadcast. No headline declaring a turning point. America did not suddenly become a debt nation. It drifted into it. For much of its early history, debt was treated as a threat. Not an economic tool, but a political danger. Early American leaders understood something modern societies often forget. Debt changes who holds power. A government that borrows becomes accountable to its creditors. A nation that relies on debt trades its independence for convenience. For generations, America tried to avoid that trade. After wars, debts were paid down. Budgets were tightened. Spending was restrained. Money represented effort already spent, not just promises about the future. That discipline began to fade after World War II. America emerged as the world's dominant economic force. Its factories were intact. Its competitors were rebuilding. Its currency became the center of global trade. The dollar was trusted everywhere. And that trust made borrowing easy. And cheap borrowing changed behavior. At first, debt helped fuel incredible growth. Infrastructure expanded. Industry boomed. Living standards soared. Debt seemed harmless, even useful. But slowly, almost invisibly, the foundation shifted. America stopped building its economy around production. It rebuilt it around consumption. Factories moved overseas. Imports replaced domestic output. Trade deficits became permanent. America started exporting dollars instead of goods. And debt filled the gap. Households borrowed to maintain their lifestyles. Corporations borrowed to boost their profits. The government borrowed to fund its promises. Each new layer of debt made the next feel completely normal. Then came the moment that changed everything. Money was disconnected from restraint. When the gold standard ended, borrowing lost its anchor. Debt no longer faced a physical limit, only a psychological one. And psychology is flexible. From that point forward, every crisis followed the same pattern. Borrow more. Spend more. Delay the cost. Recessions were met with stimulus. Market crashes were met with bailouts. Political gridlock was met with deficit spending. Debt became the universal solution. Over time, temporary borrowing became permanent. Deficits stopped shrinking during economic recoveries. They became structural. The language around debt softened. It was no longer called a burden. It was called investment, support, stability. The numbers grew so large they stopped feeling real. Billions became irrelevant. Trillions became routine. And as long as interest rates stayed low, nothing felt wrong. But that was the illusion. Low interest doesn't eliminate debt, it just disguises it. As the years passed, America crossed a quiet threshold. Borrowing stopped being optional. It became necessary. Without new debt, growth slowed. Without deficits, markets trembled. Entire systems became dependent on continuous borrowing. Financial markets relied on cheap liquidity. Asset prices relied on leverage. Government budgets relied on deficits. Debt was no longer just supporting the economy. It was holding it together. At the same time, America transformed from a creditor nation into the largest debtor in history. Foreign governments accumulated American debt because they had no alternative. The global system required dollars. This gave America incredible power. But it also created fragility. Confidence became the foundation. And confidence can change in an instant. Meanwhile, domestic debt exploded. Government debt surged. Corporate debt reached record levels. Household debt became normalized. Every sector began to assume that borrowing would remain cheap forever, and that assumption created a trap. Raising interest rates now threatens collapse. But lowering them just fuels even more debt. There is no painless exit. This is the defining feature of a debt nation. It's not the size of the debt. It's the dependence on it. In a debt nation, borrowing isn't a choice. It's survival. Interest payments consume growing portions of revenue. Flexibility disappears. Resilience weakens. Every shock becomes more dangerous. History shows this pattern clearly. Empires don't fall when they borrow. They fall when borrowing replaces reform. Debt delays consequences, but it magnifies them. America still has incredible strength, innovation, resources, institutions, but debt distorts priorities. It rewards short-term fixes, and it punishes long-term discipline. The day America became a debt nation was the day repayment stopped being the goal. The day borrowing became permanent. The day money stopped reflecting past effort and started representing future promises. That day did not end America, but it changed it. And history shows that once a nation crosses this line, returning is never simple. This isn't fear, This is pattern recognition. This is Legacy of Money, where history explains what numbers try to hide. Thanks for watching. If you found this valuable, consider subscribing for more insights.